name is Margaret Sass. I'm with Purdue University, and I'm really excited about the topic for today. We're going to be discussing the life of an international student here at Purdue University, and I'll be asking these two great students about their experiences. Are you guys ready to talk about why you came to Purdue and where you're from? So we'll start with you, Jenna.
Yeah, well, I'm an exchange student from England. I go to the University of Kent, and I've already done 2 years in Kent, and now I'm spending my 3rd year at Purdue before going back for my final year and then graduating in England.
And when do you go back?
Well, I finish my term in May, but my visa expires in the end of June, so I feel like I might go back towards the end of June.
Okay, and kind of visit the sites.
Yeah, because I'm really enjoying it here, and to be honest, I don't want to leave. I could happily do another couple of years at Purdue. So.
And where are you majoring in right now?
I'm a theatre major, but since coming to Purdue, I've taken advantage of the communication classes because I'm really interested in television production. So I also do a couple of television production classes here as well.
Very cool. So why did you choose America of all the other places in the world?
I think initially my first thought was because I'm interested in performing arts with theatre and also television production, especially and radio as well. I have a huge passion for radio, so I thought it would be best to go somewhere where I can speak the language because I mean, as much as I'd like to go to like Barcelona or Paris for a year, I can't speak the language, and because I'm interested in performing arts, I thought best go. And then also I just really like the idea of coming and spending a year in a different country, and I went to America for like 2 weeks beforehand, and I loved it, and I thought I'd love to actually live there for a short period of time.
And where did you go for those 2 weeks?
Well, I went to Disneyland in Florida. So it was like a fantasy world for 2 weeks because it was just full of princesses and characters. But so it wasn't a true representation of America, which is why I thought I'm going to go and study abroad and get a true
So of all places in the United States, I mean, there's a zillion different universities, right? So why did Purdue catch your eye?
Well, we had a few different universities which we were partnered with. When I say we, I'm like Kent were partnered with, and my professors at Kent suggested Purdue to me because within theatre I'm very interested in the sound design and music production side of it, and Purdue's got a very good reputation for sound design, and they have great facilities. They have recording studios and like state-of-the-art like facilities in terms of sound design. So my professors at Kent suggested Purdue, and so since coming here I've pretty much been doing all sound design classes for theatre.
And it's been fun?
Yeah, it's been great. Half my week television production, half sound design, and I'm loving it. I want to carry on for another year, to be honest.
Are you dipping into any radio here at Purdue?
I'm involved in a society, a broadcasting society, and we're actually in the process of setting up a radio station. So I'm just in the process of setting that up now. So I'm hoping to get it running by March so we can get it going before I leave.
So tell me about the process of when you first came to Purdue. Was there any culture shock, or is it because you speak the same language there wasn't as much, or?
Well, yeah, if I'm honest, I was very naive when I first got here and thought, we speak the same language. I watch American TV shows all the time. I was like, well, it'll be fine. It would be just like England. I got here and it was such a culture shock. I was really surprised by how much of a culture shock it was. There were so many differences, especially I've been made to live in a dorm, and obviously I've been a freshman in England, and then living in a dorm in America, like sharing a room. I've never had to share a room before. In England, especially the university I go to, you don't share rooms. It's a single room, and I've never been anywhere where I've had to share a room with someone. So that was a big shock. And then the food's different, and biscuits. Our biscuits are very different to your biscuits. Like you have like biscuits and gravy. For us, a cup of tea and biscuits is something completely different.
And what is a biscuit?
A biscuit we call biscuits cookies. So when I got here and I got told we were having biscuits and gravy, I was like, hey? Because there's cookies. But we didn't have a biscuit. But I think that, yeah, the main culture shock for me is definitely the education, like the way, like living in a dorm as well has been a huge, sharing a room has been an adjustment.
Did you expect to be sharing a room when you first came to Purdue? I mean, were you anticipating that?
Yeah, I got told that I would be sharing a room, and then I got told it was just completely random. So I was really scared when I first got here. I was like, just moving away and then sharing a room with a rat. I never met my roommate before, but I got pretty lucky, and she's really nice.
Okay, so it's working out really
yeah,
well.
It's great.
That's good. That's very good. So, Mara, you're obviously from a different country. So, can you explain where you're from and what your background is?
Yes, I'm from Brazil. I speak Portuguese as my first language. So it's so weird to hear she saying that it was a shock for her, because for me it was a huge shock, and great part of it was the language that I spoke English when I got here, but that English that I learned from the book, so it's not real English. It's totally different. But yeah, it was a big shock. And the first time I came to the States, actually, it was to Florida, to Disneyland.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So pulling us in.
Something about Disneyland, Disney World, huh?
I went there for 3 months. I actually worked there.
Wow.
Yes, in Main Street, yes.
What did you do on Main Street?
I worked in a bakery. So yeah, I just served people in a bakery. Yeah, but the big shock for me was the sizes. Like everything here in the United States so big.
Yeah.
Really?
You go to a supermarket and that's Walmart, and it's huge. And then you go and you want to buy chips, and the bags are that big. In Brazil, it's not like that. Like
Really?
the food portions here are huge. And unfortunately, we just get used to that.
Is there a cost difference? Or can you tell?
Well, as we have a different, as we exchange money, it's hard to tell. It depends on how much people make. But for me, it was more expensive here. Yeah, of course, because in Brazil I was teaching, so I had a salary, and here I was working in a bakery, so of course I had way less money. And then years later I came to grad school here at Purdue, and I already knew a little bit, but again, I was in Florida, and then I came to grad school in Indiana, which is very, very different. Like the weather, I've been here at Purdue for 5 years, still not used to the weather.
It's been cold.
It's been especially cold this winter, so it's been pretty hard.
For me, though, it rains all the time in England. Like every day it's raining, so
okay.
I don't mind the snow. I'm happy to get away from the rain for a bit.
But it's not that cold there.
No, I'm finding that the cold is really getting to me, especially this week. It's been crazily cold.
How cold does it get in where you're from?
It's hard because we use degrees Celsius. I'm not used to Fahrenheit, but warmer than here. But it's funny what you said about the language barrier, because even I find there's a language barrier, even though I speak English. Like, but before I got here, I was like, okay, we say crisps, so Americans say chips, and then our chips are fries. And I knew that pants were trousers. So I knew that. But then when I got here, I was so surprised by how many differences there is. Like aluminium, and we say like, we just have there's so many different words. I'm constantly saying things, and people will be like, what did you say? What does that mean? And phrases as well. Like I'll use a phrase which we use in England, and sometimes people will take it literally, because it's not the same phrase as you might use. So I've even found there's been so many more language barriers than I anticipated.
But just with vocabulary?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
Really? That's really interesting.
Yeah.
But it's our slang, and we change it all the time, and with generations coming about, they create their own slang, and I don't even know their terminology anymore. People say words to me all the time, and I'm like, what does that mean? So I think we also have the same problem in the older generations, okay? So it's not just you guys at all. So you were talking about food, and food is obviously, you were talking about food that it's very different, and I'm guessing that your food that you're from is cooked differently, portions are differently in the restaurants, all sorts of things like that,
and
right?
what we eat too, like in Brazil, every day, like the meal every day is rice, beans, a salad, and some kind of meat.
Really?
Yes, we are that particular about food. We are that
Structure
straight.
is good.
Yeah, we are that straight about food. And here, everything, like, you have this huge variety of food. And the seasoning, like, I find everything here either too spicy or too sweet.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
I find everything here really, really sweet.
I love it.
Even the bread, like the bread I found it's so much sweeter than the bread in England.
Yeah.
I find everything sweet. I'm worried I'm going to go back and I'm going to be so used to all this sweetness. I'm going to be putting sugar on everything, I think, after a year.
There's always Amazon where you can just order it all, right? I'm sure they deliver out there. Right?
Or I could just move over here, you know,
That's
there's
right.
option too.
You're always welcome. We need talented students like you all the time. There's always graduate school, right? So I'm really glad you were able to share your experiences, because this is really interesting for people that have been brought up, raised here, and haven't been exposed to that exchange program. And so it's really important that you share your experiences so we all kind of get an idea what your perspective is. Mm-hmm. And so in the next part of the show, we're going to be having Chuck interviewing 2 other international students that are visiting this great country and talking about their experiences specifically at Purdue. So thank you for joining us, and we'll be back in a few minutes.
I'm Chuck Callahan, and we're Purdue University, and we're now with Ifan and Kayla, and they are both very special students because they come from the Pacific Rim to the Midwest, not just the West, but the Midwest here in Indiana. So tell me a little bit about what you experienced when you first came to Purdue University. What were some of the challenges? What were some of the interesting things that happened to you when you came here to Purdue?
Okay. When I just first came to the United Airport, and the custom just told me that the honesty is the best policy. So to stay in America, then it's better to be honest. Yeah, and it's better to do a lot of things with honesty. And so the funny things at Purdue is when I see the football games, the orchestra was still there, and they would do a lot of funny motion and also playing the music. This has not happened in my home country.
So you found the Purdue football team and that event was different than something you've experienced before.
Yeah, and it's really exciting to see. They do a lot of things when playing the instruments and with the football. Yeah.
Did you find yourself going to more than a few Purdue football games? Have you gone to?
I've gone to probably 4 or 5 times.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
How
It's a
about-
nice experience.
How about you, Kayla?
Well, this is my first year at Purdue,
Okay.
and I'm doing PhD, so I didn't have that much time to explore, like, join, participate in those fun activity. But for me, I feel this year is particularly cold, so it's So that's the part that I feel this year is so cold, and that's about it. And sometimes you feel you don't want to go to class because of the cold weather.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
the weather's different. Yeah.
Yeah, the weather is
Well,
different.
we get this weather about once every 30 years, so you're lucky to be here in one of those times. So,
Yeah.
well, tell me a little bit about the things that have happened to you, maybe in class or in homework or assignments. In what ways has being here at Purdue been different for you?
Yeah, and here the teacher uses the textbook, go through all the chapters. But in my home country, sometimes we have only like part of them. So this is really solid here. So you don't like to miss each lecture. Otherwise, there are a lot of materials you have to review. And for the homework, the interesting thing is that even though the next week is the midterm, then most of students, well, I should say all the students won't ask the instructor to extend the homework due date. So they still turn in and write the homework and turn in the midterm. But sometimes in our home countries, then we probably would like to ask the professor to could we extend the homework for like 1 week, another 1 week. Yeah, that's a little bit different. And I think probably because in the class all the students are from all other countries, so they are also trying to ask professor to do that. So it's very solid for the homework. Yeah.
I think professors here are much friendly compared to I had in Taiwan.
They're more friendly?
Yeah, they're more friendly because I feel there's a distance between you and professor in my country, and then you sometimes will feel you don't want to ask too much question because they will just keep lecturing. They seldom ask you, you have any question? So they will just follow their lesson plan and finish the teaching. But here, professor will ask you whether you have question or there's anything they can do for you to make your learning experience better. So I think that's a difference. Yeah.
So what types of things have been more challenging for you in the classroom here than maybe at home?
But here, because the system here, we have a class like Monday, Wednesday, Friday for 1 hour. But in our home country, it's like 3 hours in a week.
Okay.
So it's a little bit different. So we have like Monday, Wednesday, Friday. After that, you have to review right now. Otherwise, like after Monday, then Wednesday is coming, and there are new lectures, new materials. If you don't review the lectures or materials, then you don't understand the following things. So it's a little bit different because in my home country, it's 3 hours in a week. So probably a lot of students just review or do their homework at the end of the weekend.
Okay.
Yeah, or at the right before the lectures.
So that time management was something you had to
Yes, it's
develop or
different.
learn?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I remember that when I came here for the first weekend of the semester, I just studied the whole book of probability, because the homework is cover all the probability lectures. Because and we have to use these techniques in the all following semester. So the instructor asked us to review all this, and they also have a homework with that. So in the first weekend, I just study and studied, hope to get familiar with all the probabilities. Yeah, so it's really interesting. Yeah.
How about you, Kayla?
I think that language barrier is definitely an issue because when you just got here, they ask you to turn in maybe just 5-page, 7-page to us. That's quite a lot already because we are not good at writing. And once you pick up some, your English start to improve, and you can speak better. You will still have a problem in writing because the way you write is not the way you speak.
Yeah.
So you still need to have someone help you to correct your writing. And then also I feel a lot of project we did here is like group project. So you need to learn how to work with others. So that's a challenging too if when we still have a language barrier, how to talk to people, how to express your idea, how to contribute to your project. That's a challenge too.
So in addition to language working with groups, have there been any other issues that come up in groups that you've had trouble with?
For me, all the courses I took is just for individual, like individual project, individual midterm. So I didn't do a lot about the group meeting or group papers, like something like that. Yeah, so I have no idea about that. But I took 2 very interesting classes. One is reading efficiency, and the other is vocabulary excellence. And it's from GS General Study. And the reason why I would like to take this because I would like to improve my English abilities, no matter reading or word. So when I took that, but compared to the native speakers, they also took this. So my standard is much lower than that. The instructor just told me that you just hope you can read more through this semester, from like 300 words to 500 words per minute. But for the native speaker, their requirement is like 90 or 1,000 words per minute.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's different. And for the vocabulary excellence, this course is interesting because the course is not taught by the instructor. We will have team, different team. They will lecture one note. They will lecture 1 week. Then they will tell you how to remember the vocabulary, or how to know the meaning of this vocabulary. So, and they will do some games or some gambling or something. Through these games, then we know the vocabulary. So it's interesting.
So do you find if a professor or instructor provides their PowerPoints for you, that you can see them outside of class, that they record their lecture where you can go back and listen to it again? Do you find that helpful? Is that helpful to you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very helpful if professor do that. Yeah.
How has it worked for you as far as building relationships with domestic or national students? Has that been easy? Has that been hard? How has that worked for you?
It depends on the person. That I would like to experience more culture difference, or experience more life in America. So I joined a lot of club or doing some volunteers. In that way, that I can talk to the domestic students, and also the native speaker, and also the community seniors. And through these activities, I thought it's really a nice experience. And either I can learn some skills, like wrapping, how to wrap in the box using kind of decorated symbol or wreath. And also you can talk a lot to the to other people. So it is good.
Well, I'd like to thank Yifan and Kayla for being here today. Certainly they have made the extra effort to blend into Purdue and become successful students at Purdue, and we certainly appreciate and thank them for that effort they've made to become Boilermakers. So we'd like to thank you for joining us on our session, and we'll see you next time.